Uranus, cold, distant, barely explored. But in some interpretations, it is described differently, not just as a planet, but as a future destination beyond the transition. Transition of whom and to where? Keep watching, and you'll find out.
3i Atlas has already passed Jupiter, but instead of fading, it became more active. Outgassing increased, the tail brightened, and this happened after its encounter with the most powerful planet in the system. Coincidence? Its activity increased, as if something switched on. But the real question isn't that. It's where it's going next. What if Jupiter isn't just a planet, but some kind of activation point? From a scientific point of view, it makes sense. Jupiter's gravity could have disturbed a nucleus. Subsurface ice is activated. Gas was released. But there's something unusual. The activity increased not near the Sun, but after Jupiter.
And that's when it all began.
As if the object wasn't losing energy, but gaining it. And if this isn't just physics, then what exactly happened there? Hypothesis: replicators. In the theory of self-replicating systems, known as von Neumann probes, an object could carry microscopic structures capable of replication. They require a trigger, energy, radiation, gravitational interaction, or external signals. And if such a trigger exists, then passing near Jupiter would be ideal. An enormous magnetic field, intense radiation belts, powerful electromagnetic activity. This is not just a planet, as it's a cosmic energy station. We call the comet's tail dust, gas, and ice. But that's our interpretation. What if inside the object there are structures that, once activated, begin to separate? Not as an explosion, but as a process. Quiet, gradual, something invisible for us. In the concept of von Neumann probes, such systems can replicate, spread, use environmental energy. And in that case, Jupiter is the perfect trigger. Magnetic fields, radiation, energy. This is not just a flyby. It could be initiation. But if that was the beginning,
then the process has already begun.
But what is the destination? If something like this exists inside the nucleus, then after Jupiter, it may have already begun to spread. Not as an explosion, not as an impact, but silently. And if that's true, then the real question is no longer what 3i Atlas is, but where its fragments are heading next. Perhaps some of you are wondering right now. In the previous videos about 3i Atlas, you were hinting that the comet's visit to our solar system was almost primarily aimed at Earth. Here's the answer. We never claimed that. We were analyzing the possibility and continue to do so. Earth, and not only Earth, could have been the target of a different kind of action. Because, according to some alternative philosophers, comets are not just icy chunks. They are considered a special form of life that influences evolution across the cosmos. And as powerful energetic factors, they affect human consciousness, changing the way people think, which resonates with von Neumann's theory. Moreover, Comets are carriers of a certain fire and are linked to purification processes in the universe. So why couldn't 3I Atlas have performed such a purifying work before reaching Jupiter? So, beyond Jupiter, the next giant, Saturn, a planet with rings, strong gravity, a complex system. And further still,
To where everything changes.
Uranus, cold, distant, barely explored. But in some interpretations, it is described differently, not just as a planet, but as a future destination. Beyond the transition, a transition, but of whom and to where? There is an idea that different regions of the solar system correspond to different stages of evolution. Roughly speaking, some structures attract development, others limit it if viewed as a model. This creates a kind of tension between preserving stagnant decay and transforming into a progressive future. And in that case, the trajectory is no longer random. It becomes directed. According to alternative philosophy, Uranus will one day become the home for earthly humanity, though only after many thousands of years. But not for all. Only for those ready for further evolution. The rest will be pulled toward the chemistry of Saturn, simply because they are incapable of that next stage of evolution. You're probably wondering right now, why is that? Cosmogonically, it looks like this. The planet Saturn is still in a very low state of development, whereas Uranus, in terms of the quality of its tension, stands far above all the known planets in our solar system. Neptune and Uranus already belong to higher attractions and are not so dependent on the sun of our solar system. Therefore, when the rays of Saturn intersect with the rays of Uranus, a great disharmony arises, which profoundly affects the entire space touched by these rays. The rays of Uranus are far more powerful than those of Saturn, and as a result, the purification and elevation of vibrations in the surrounding atmosphere have a heavy impact on multitudes of Earthlings. Right now, the atmosphere of Venus is closer to Earth people than the exalted purity of Uranus's rays, which awaken and lift human consciousness toward a new understanding of a more responsible life. Thus, the route of Comet 3I Atlas was perhaps not simply the journey of a celestial body, but a fragment of a much grander process. It passed Jupiter. It changed. And if that was the beginning,
We are already inside this process.
then the process is already underway. Not where we are looking, but where we don't yet know how to see.